trying to think of how this sounded. See if I could pull this off. The mold knows, Jack. The mold knows. Welcome to I Hope You Suffer. That wasn't very
The
good.
mold knows.
No.
I watched this like last night at work, and like I feel like I can hear it in my head, but like can't.
He does that like voice vibrato thing really well. The mold knows, Jack.
What a fucking.
That's I'm kind of going more ghost like, unless Jeffrey Combs ish.
Spooky mold.
Jeffrey Combs.
Oh, it's gonna be one of those episodes. This is episode 171 of I Hope You Suffer. My name is Box.
I'm Jack.
I am silicone video game protection pads.
This week we are talking about 2013's Motivational Growth.
A great film.
Very one of the strangest movies I have watched in a very long time.
Agree.
I liked it a lot, very into it, but I still am processing it like 12 hours later.
Yeah. Imagine how I feel having finished it a mere half an hour ago.
I'll never stop thinking about the Plasma Day guy.
Yo, man, it's
licking TVs.
Like, that was the part where I was just like, all right, I don't know what the fuck's going on in this movie.
Yeah.
So yeah, this is a movie Kit had seen before, brought up, and I think in the Grime Wave episode that I added it to my watch list on Letterboxd and it popped up. So I was like, okay, we're doing this like as soon as we can. And it's not so much a horror movie, although you could definitely tell there's like an influence there.
Yeah.
But like it's very weird. Like the entire time I was watching it, I was just like, how does somebody come up with, like, this is just one of those ones where you're just like, who came up with this? But
yeah.
Jeffrey Combs killing it in this
So good.
One of my favorite things. One of the things I've seen him do that is like now up there probably in like my top 5 Jeffrey Combs roles.
I agree. I would agree.
So we know Kit liked this. I was definitely a fan. I think I gave it 3.5 stars on Letterboxd.
Yeah.
But I want to know what Katie thought, because the entire time I was watching it, I was just like, I'm dying to know what Katie thought about this.
I still, like I said, I'm still trying to process a lot of it, especially towards, this is like definitely one of the weirdest movies I've ever seen, like not in a bad way. But as I was watching it, I was like, trying to take notes. I was like, how am I going to accurately depict what's happening here? You really have to just watch it, honestly. Because it's like,
I was gonna say, like we did in the last episode,
wacky.
I guess real quick before, like, I feel like this is a movie that, like, spoilers, like, I feel like you should watch this movie because, number one, us explaining it's probably gonna make 0 sense without context.
Yeah.
But I think it's also worth watching first because it's not like there's like a twist or anything, but it's just very weird, and interesting, and I think it's like it's on Prime and Tubi for free right now, so you could easily watch it for free if you want. So you should definitely watch it before listening to us talk about it, like in depth.
Yeah, I don't know how. I don't know how you're gonna follow what's happening. I guess like all that to say, I did really like it. There's a lot of aspects of this movie that are just like literally right up my alley. I'm I'm I don't know what else to say. I'm still like sort of trying to process it. Like it's quite the trip. I think if you take out like this movie would still be in my mind. I was gonna say if you take out the Jeffrey Combs and mold, I don't know how you could do that and have the movie still be the way that it was. It's just like I cannot describe it. It's like it's kind of indescribable. It's just like so weird. It's so weird.
The voice decision on what the mold was gonna sound like is so bizarre on its own.
Yeah,
because
yeah.
I feel like anyone else would have gone with like a weird kind of like grumbly, kind of like monstery sounding voice, and he's just like, no, it's probably gonna be like sort of like hillbilly-ish.
Yeah, like a laid back southerner kind of guy.
It's so good.
Also, the choice to make his he's like a what I like to call like a one-liner. He just is constantly saying like shit that is just like old-timey. Like he calls the girl that like the main character is interested in, he like calls her a pigeon. He's like, if you want to put a jacket on that pigeon, then you got like, he doesn't talk like that. He talks like Jeffrey Combs pretty much. But the things that he's saying are very like 1950s wise guy, flippity flap. Like everything he's saying is like just insane. And then but also he's a pile of mold, so it's like what? It's just very trippy.
Yeah, I was gonna say he he sounds like the way he talks, he sounds like he's reading like a Jack Kerouac novel.
Yeah.
But it rules. It's fucking, I don't know, his like delivery of lines is so bizarre that it's just, it works. And like the combination of that with like the puppetry of this just weird black pile of mold in his bathroom.
The face for the mold is the best.
It's so
like
good.
Like scrunched eyebrows and shit.
Yeah, it's all good because like when it first started, like obviously I had like, his kid had said like Jeffrey Combs' voice is like mold in it, so I was like, I knew what I was getting into. But like at the beginning, I like when it's just Ian kind of like talking to the camera for like a long time, I was like, this is what's happening, like this is very weird. And then once like the mold shows up, I was like, all right, now I'm in.
I also wasn't expecting it to be like a puppet type situation. Like I thought it was going to be like mold on the wall and then just his voice coming from it. Like I was not expecting what we got at all, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
So that was a nice surprise for me.
It's pretty interesting choices going on. Like the entire time I was watching it, where it has like that weird kind of like Clerks thing where the words pop up on the screen. Like all I could think, because I'd looked up the director on IMDb, and like almost everything he's done has been like shorts. And I was like, I wonder if this was like, this felt like an internet TV show that there was like 10 episodes of or whatever that they just put together to form this movie. I don't know if that makes sense. Like it almost felt like And so I was just like, I was trying to figure out if that was like the case, but I could not find anything. But it's good. The score, incredible. Should be
the music,
board 8-beat fucking video game
amazing.
scores.
I want to watch whatever this short is that he directed called Jazz Punk Johnny.
Yeah, I'm in. I'm
Okay,
it's
shall we?
this movie is such a like just baffling thing that I am definitely interested to see like what some of his other shorts are like, because this seems to be the only full length he made, and
Yeah.
I don't know, like Katie and I were talking before Kit jumped back on like recording that like I had two people who had logged this on Letterboxd before I watched it, and one of them was a 1 star and one of them was a 4.5 star. So that kind of tells you like like this movie, I guarantee you, is the more people watch it, probably the more polarizing it probably is.
Yeah. I have to be like very honest. I didn't really expect to like actively like this movie. Because normally,
I honestly expected you to be like, this was terrible. That's why I was like very interested, like, because like I said, like I already knew Kit was like, yeah, this movie rules, but it also this feels like I don't say this movie's stupid in like a negative way. It's just like it's the movie is so bizarre that like
Yeah, it's over the top
it makes
and weird
sense why
in a very dumb way.
I totally see like watching it, but like, okay, I absolutely understand. This is like I understand why Kit likes this movie, and then I was like, this movie rules, but I was like, ooh, this is good. This is gonna be real hit or miss for Katie, I think.
yeah, baffling choices. I think like there is a very fine line between watching something like this and being like, this makes no sense and it's fucking stupid, and this makes no sense and it rules. Like, there's a very fine line, and this, I think, because of it's also very like, God, I can't think of the word to describe this movie. There's a lot of like monologuing from the main character. There's like very minimal people in this movie, and it all basically focuses around one character, and he does a lot of monologuing, and a lot of the things that he says are I can't think of the word I'm trying to say, but it's like, you know, he kind of talks a lot of like, not like philosophy, but like sort of like the meaning of life and whatever.
Existential.
So yes, thank you. That's what I was trying to come up with. It's that, but then combined with like Jeffrey Combs as a mold thing, the mold, and then also some of the gore choices, just for me, I think tip it over to it makes no sense, but like it does, but also it's insane and it's good.
Yeah.
It's the
makes sense at
eating
all.
so many different spore things
Oh
for me.
man, when he bites into that one
Sucking on some mushrooms.
thing that like all the liquid comes out.
Gross.
All right, Katie.
Okay, so
let's see
I
if we
took the
can
best
figure this
notes
out.
that I could. Yeah, there will be some times where it will be very confusing. So again, this is the last chance just to go watch it, because I don't know.
Yeah, we'll
see.
wait.
So basically, go ahead.
Just sit for 2 hours.
Yeah, it is a little bit long. It didn't feel that long to me, but it was almost 2 hours. So I don't know. Do with that what you will. So basically, this movie starts with some really kick-ass like synth chiptune 8-bit music, which is all the score in this movie. Sort of a weird pick, but I love it. I thought all the music was great. I loved it. So basically, there's just this guy who's watching TV. We see his apartment, and it's like a trash hoarder type situation. It is fucking disgusting. The walls are stained. There's just like shit everywhere. The movie also does this thing a lot where it shows us like clips of TV shows, but also sometimes turns into like a video game situation. Very strange, but I'm here for it. So we get some like sick 8-bit gaming going on. Then there's a voiceover it's our main character Ian, and he's talking about his TV, whose name is Kent. Because basically he's just been sitting in his apartment for, did he say 16 months or
Yeah,
16 weeks?
16 months.
Months. He's just been sitting in his apartment, waiting out life, watching TV, and he gets to the point where his TV, it's like a very old TV. If you are our age, you definitely had one of these TVs in your house. It's like an old box, like tube TV.
Yeah, it's one of those ones like
TV,
built into a cabinet.
Yeah. Very cool. But it dies, unfortunately. And he kind of freaks out a little bit. There was like literal sparks coming out of the TV, but he's like pressing the remote control. Like, not sure why you thought that was going to do anything, but you know, I get it. He is absolutely devastated. Then we get a time lapse of him, like how he's spending his time now that his TV has died, which is essentially just sleeping and eating and like freaking out and crying and laying on the floor and shit.
A mood.
Yeah.
Yeah. Honestly, yes. We also get these like weird, just like the way that this, I don't know that I've seen this actor in anything before, but the way that he delivers his lines, like so matter of fact to me, like I liked him a lot. He just like basically tells us that like he stopped watering his plants because they were plotting something untoward. And I was like,
Oh, that killed me.
okay. Yeah.
Fucking plants.
Now as a plant lady, I've got like 25 plants because Tiffany sent me a bunch of cuttings and I'm like, oh no. I'm just growing my plant army. They're going to turn on me.
Yeah, you're fucked.
Yikes. You know what? It's fine. This is when we learn basically that he's been a shut-in and he just is like, I don't know, waiting out his life, I guess.
Yeah, I don't think
Then
they ever explain like what started it.
No, I mean, no, they just are kind of like, so then he goes into this like really like explanation about some like existential shit, right? And essentially what it boils down to is that essentially life is shit and nothingness. Like nothing matters. He talks about how like kittens are so cute, but they're killers and they're training to kill, blah, 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 while he is like sitting on the toilet straining really hard to take a shit. And he basically is just like, nothing matters.
That was
That's
the
what it
point that I
boils
was
down
like,
to.
I'm very interested to hear what Katie's going to think of this movie.
So, and like, I didn't really write down a lot of the monologue-y stuff that he's saying. Obviously, please go watch it. But he's essentially just like, life is shit. And you know what? I'm fucking done with it. So he gets a bunch of like household cleaners and pours them into the tub. He is intending on inhaling all of the chemicals. And
Just make a little mustard gas at home.
Yeah.
YOLO.
Yeah, why not?
YOLO.
And actually, it reminded me of King of the Hill when Peggy was like writing that advice column, and she accidentally like told them to make mustard gas, and it gave me a little chuckle. So he goes to climb up on his sink because there's like a vent up top, and he wants to block the vent so that the gas doesn't like go out the vent or whatever. But he slips and falls, and it looked like it hurt a lot because he was pretty high up.
As someone who has
And
fallen
he,
out
like-
of a shower and hit their fucking sink, it's
Oh, that's right.
not great,
Ugh.
gotta say.
I forgot about that. So he gets knocked out, right? And then when he wakes up, he's greeted by the mold. It's just a big pile of mold. It's like where his like sink is, it's like one of those standalone cabinets. So it creates like a V with the wall, and it's just like the whole thing is just like a big mold puppet of Jeffrey Combs.
Fucking rules.
Jeffrey
Like,
Mold.
the way it like just breathes is so disturbing to me for some reason.
They put a lot of movement. They put like a lot of effort into this mold puppet. It like it has so much movement, and it breathes, and it like there's like a few times when it did like a zoom in on the face, and it was like the subtitles were like grumbles, and it was kind of like rumbling, and I was like, how they did that? It was crazy.
It rules.
Yeah, so so imagine like a pile of mold, but it has like kind of a bulbous nose and like lips and eyes and but like
It doesn't
but, like,
have eyes. It just has these like weird bumps.
crinkly. It has
Yep.
like the eye ridge.
It,
So,
yeah, it's like
if
a
you're
cartoon
really old,
where you have the
yeah,
ridges and no actual like eyeballs.
eyeballs. Yeah, they should have had little mushroom eyes.
Ugh.
So, yeah. Yeah, so the mold is like, hey, Sunshine, what's up, cowboy? I don't know that I wrote down any actual thing that the mold said, but everything is like a zinger, so just imagine that. So Ian is like bummed that he's still alive, obviously. That wasn't his intent. And he's like, well, as long as I'm still alive, I guess I'll call someone to fix Kent. His name was Kent, right? The TV?
Yeah.
So, he calls a repair company, and it's like a whole thing because they don't understand like what his tree is. They're like, is it a plasma? And he's like, I don't know what that is. And this is like a running gag that like he doesn't know TV stuff. But I did laugh because he's like, well, it's made out of wood, tree wood from trees. And the way he said it just made me laugh really hard because, old TV. So, but then he like,
tree wood is such a fucking weird.
I know.
Like,
like what else does the wood come from? Tree wood from trees. So he also tells us that the reason that he hasn't left his apartment is because there is a force field preventing him from leaving. Also, he's scared that he could get murdered. Which
I mean,
seems
that's
like
understandable.
You wouldn't worry about if you were like trying to kill yourself, but what do I know?
Got that murder force field.
Yeah. So obviously he's not a hypochondriac because his house is like fucking gross. So I don't know what's going on with that. But so basically we get this really cool like 8-bit like video game scene of like Ian getting ready in the bathroom and he's like talking to the mold. And they're just like arguing basically because the mold keeps calling him Jack. And Ian's like, my name's Ian. And the mold's like, yeah, I know that, Jack. And he's like, okay, so like, why aren't you, whatever. So they're
The
like,
mold is Joe
arguing or
Biden.
whatever.
Yeah. What's up, corn pop?
Wow. So they're basically like arguing, and then the mold like blows spores into his face, and he passes out. So there's a lot of instances of Ian like passing out and then waking up, and like people coming to his door. This is like the entire movie. So there's a knock at the door. It's somebody named Kit, Box the Ox, who's talking about. This guy was very strange to me because he gives these monologues and the things that he's saying like don't really make sense with like what's happening. He basically is talking about how he was like visiting his brother in jail, and like he goes through this whole like beach, and essentially what he's asking for is for Ian to pay rent because he's telling his family that he's getting rent from people who live in the apartment and he doesn't want to be lying to his family. So Ian's just like, yeah, so the thing is like, my problem is that I have all the money that I owe you, but like I can't give it to you because your apartment's on the other side of the complex. And he's like, okay. And he's like, yeah, like I can't go outside. And he's like, okay, so mail it. And then Ian's like, yeah, but the mailbox is outside. He's like, okay, fine, I'll come back later. And he like leaves or whatever. When that happens, Ian also sees a girl who I think lives next to him, like leave or whatever, and he becomes like infatuated with her, right? So, the first TV guy comes to fix the TV, and it's fucking weird.
Plasma
he's, like,
day.
laying on the TV. Yeah, he's like laying on the TV and like moaning and like licking the TV, and Ian's like, "What the fuck? Why are you licking my TV?" And the guy's just like, oh, well, your TV's dead. Like, you need to get a new TV,
Plasma.
to help you through this predicament. And Ian's like, what are you talking about? And then the guy starts, like hissing. He's like, I don't know what's going on with him. But he's, like, hissing and freaking out. And Ian spits up green stuff on him that like burns his face, and the TV guy runs out.
Flying over the couch.
Yeah. And so he leaves. Ian goes back into the mold and is like, what the fuck is going on here? And the mold's just like, hey, whatever. And then I also laughed. Ian's like, what the fuck are you talking about? And also, why are you talking? So the mold just keeps like going on and on about how he's got I got plans for you, Jack. And they like go back and forth, and the mold is essentially just like, you need to do what I say. Like, don't open the door unless I say it's okay. And like, I just need you to do these things for me, and I'm going to help you out, Jack. Like, blah, blah, blah. So they just go back and forth. Ian decides like, okay, fine, I'm going to listen to the mold. Sure. So the mold grows a mushroom, and Ian, like, I thought it was like really cool the way that they had the mold like grow stuff. Well, it looks kind of phallic, but he like grows this mushroom just like out of himself.
Ugh.
And then Ian bites into it, and it's like fucking gross. It's got like
crunches
weirdest
so
shade of,
gnarly.
like, yellow. Yeah, it's really gross. It's gross. Ian
What?
passes out again after eating the I was gonna say the marshmallow.
Ugh.
Mushroom.
Why would you ever eat a mushroom that came out of mold? Even if you like the mold.
I don't know. Like, it's one thing to be like, yeah, I'll do what you say, but it's another thing to like watch a mushroom materialize out of it and then
Yeah.
eat it.
Sure, I'll eat this dick mushroom. Mold guy.
Like,
They can't even get my name right.
Look, let's not act like we haven't all been there. Very relatable.
So Ian passes out. When he wakes up, he is now on a TV show called Officer Zygor, Alien Cop. And his sidekick, Bernard Starr? The way the guy says the name just was like ridiculous. He was like, and I'm a sidekick, Bernard Starr.
I don't know, but I want this show to be real so bad.
Same.
Like, pretty much. Because, so, he's basically just like, oh, I need you to tell me if this is real or not. And Ian's like, how the shit should I know? And he was like, that's a pretty human question to ask me, considering as I'm an alien. And just, it was just like such a corny, like, TV show vibe. Like, I thought it was very funny. But basically, Bernard Starr, like, holds his arms back, and Zygor punches him in the stomach. And then he
the
wakes
weird
up
chin
and, like,
thing
cycles.
on Zygor rules so much.
It's like
They're, like,
it's like not blended at all.
tentacles. Yeah.
Oh,
So,
perfect.
Ian cycles through a couple other TV shows that we saw clips of, like, in the very beginning of the movie. And then when he wakes up, he's in the bathtub, and he throws up. There's a lot of throwing up in this, too. There's a knock on the door, and it turns out to be somebody, I think her name was Vanessa, who is delivering groceries. And he's kind of, like, freaking out because he was having this other person deliver groceries, and now it's this other person, and she's just like, I don't know, dude, that's the way it goes. Here, can I give you these groceries or whatever? And she walks into his apartment and immediately dumps all of his groceries onto the floor. There's, like, ground meat in there, too, and she just, like, dumps it. It's, like, fucking gross. And he's basically, like, really concerned because there's a bunch of, was it called Gromax or
It was
Growmore
basically a
or
bunch
something?
of shit that's going to grow the mold.
Yeah. So he's like, what? These aren't my groceries. Like, what? And she's just like, whatever, you order them, dude. They go back and forth, and she's essentially just like, okay, I'm going to come back because your whole order wasn't complete. And when I come back, you better give me a tip or whatever. So she leaves. Ian and the mold kind of, like, argue again because, I don't know, whatever. But then the mold's like, you're special, Jack, and, like, we need to start this journey together. Like, are you ready? So Ian's like, okay. So then there's a montage of Ian, like, cleaning his apartment and himself, also peepholing the girl next door, and then also, like, talking to the mold. there's like one time where Ian's like rolling around on the floor and like laughing and like petting the mold, and I was like, okay. It was kind of like I don't know. It was funny. Eventually, there's a knock on the door. It's the girl that he's been peeping at. He's figured out her routine, and like basically anytime she leaves her apartment, he like slams himself into the door to like look out the peephole at her.
10-16
which
every
is gross.
time.
Yeah. And so finally she knocks on the door, and she's just like, "Hi, I'm Leia. Like, I figured you should know my name if you're gonna be peeping on me like that. Haha." She was very strange.
She might be the weirdest person in the whole movie.
She rules.
honestly, very weird. But essentially, Ian's like, so they like meet or whatever. So Ian goes in to talk to the mold, and this part was like maybe my favorite part of the movie, because I was like, what the fuck? So he goes in to talk to the mold about Leia, and he trips on something that turns out to be like a decomposed like skeleton body that looks so fucking gross, and there's like
very
juices
gooey,
everywhere,
very green.
And he's like, what the fuck, is that me? Like, is that my dead body? And the mold's just like, no, nothing to see here, don't worry about it. And like as they're having this like conversation about it, the body's kind of like appearing and reappearing, and it was like crazy.
Yeah, the body's like laying where he landed after falling into the bathtub and stuff.
Yeah, very cool. So basically, I don't know. The mold's like, yeah, no, I don't know what you're talking about. You're right. You're talking to me, Jack, or whatever. And then Ian coughs up a mushroom, and the mold's like, oh yeah, give that to me. And so he feeds it to the mold, and then once the mold's eating it, he kind of freaks out. He's like snapped out of it by someone knocking on the door, and it's another TV repair guy who like seems like a normal TV repair guy, but he like monologues about like Kent the TV and about how you should, I don't know, the legacy behind TVs. Like he has one of those TVs and he's going to pass it down to his son, who's going to pass it down to his son. And like the weird thing about this guy is how actually kind of normal he is. Like he just loves TVs. You know what I mean? Like he's just a normal guy who loves TVs. I don't know. But essentially he's like goes inside the TV and is like, oh, here's your problem. You've got mold on one of these tubes. You've got a mold problem. And so he fixes the TV and leaves. And after that, Ian like freaks out because he goes to the mold and is like, you broke my TV. How could you do that to me? Like you said, you know, the TV's my best friend or whatever. And the mold is essentially just like, the TV never did anything for you. I'm your best friend. Like, you don't need that TV. You're just watching the boob tube and whatnot. And then Ian says my favorite line in the entire movie, where he says, do you remember that time my body was decomposing in the bathroom just a few minutes ago? Because I do, because it was just a few minutes ago, and it made me laugh so hard. So the mold is just like, nah, that's not real. Like, that's not actually your body. Like, don't worry about it. Like, do you want to chance? So the mold is kind of trying to make it seem like he's just trying to help him so that he could have a chance with Leia. And whenever Ian is like, well, what do you want in return? He's just like, oh, nothing. I just need you to do what I say. That's all the mold needs. So, like, the mold, like, intentions are not super clear, but he just kind of, like, goes along with it anyways. So I guess they're back to being a partnership or whatever. Vanessa, the delivery person, comes back and is like, wow, you look amazing. This apartment looks great. Like, wow, I'm going to watch TV for some reason. She sits down on his couch to watch
she's
TV.
Also fascinated by his old TV.
yeah. Like, it's not that big, whatever. Ian notices that there's like mold growing in these holes that he drilled in the wall, and then also a flower blooms out of it, which was pretty cool. But then it like poison darts Vanessa, and she dies, I guess. And so,
R.I.P. Vanessa. Never got her tip.
yeah, no, she didn't.
Fucked up.
So Ian's like freaking out, right?
I mean,
I don't
fair.
know. There's some other like TV stuff happening. The TV like shorts out again, I think. Ian drags like Vanessa's body into the bathroom and is just like basically like, what the fuck? Like, why did you do that? And the mold's just like, oh no, look what you did. And Ian's like, no, you fucking did it. It was your mold poison dart or whatever. And he's like, I don't know, you drilled the holes and stuff. And so they like argue about it or whatever. The mold, and then, oh my god, this part was not my favorite. So the mold is just like, hey, calm down, it's fine. And grows this like spore out of the wall that looks like a pumpkin, because it like literally looks like a little pumpkin. And he's just like, go ahead, lick it with your tongue.
I also, all I can think
So-
about is Katie's gonna hate this.
So he goes to like lick it. He's like sucking on it. It's like kind of sensual. And I was like, I don't enjoy whatever is happening. And then it gets worse because like Ian starts like floating, and then it turns into like a video game again where it's like him and a bunch of people sucking on boobs. But it's like a monster. Like it's like a creature that just has like, it's like a milk bar, but like a person, if that makes sense. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just lots of boobs. And also, he gets arrested or something. I didn't really understand, like, this whole part of the video game thing. But anyways, it bleeds back into, like, the TV. One of the TV segments is a guy who was, like, trying to do, like a where they sell stuff on TV, like a QVC thing, but he's selling, like, knives, like sushi knives and shit, and so they're like demonstrating like chopping, and they're like chop 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 or whatever, and it like very quickly switches to Ian like dismembering Vanessa in the bathtub.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh no. And
Well, that's
when he
unfortunate.
realizes that's what's happening, he freaks out. He's like screaming, he's like spitting spores out, there's like all kinds of shit. The mold's laughing maniacally and it's just like crazy. He's also like spitting dust everywhere. And I guess this is when Ian decides that he's had enough. So he gets up and like runs to like run out his front door. But when he opens it, Leia is there. And it shows him again, like before he was covered in blood and like now he's fine. So I don't know. She basically is like, hey, like, what's your name? And he's like, yeah, Ian, you know, and she's like, can I come in? She is so weird. She's like, can I come aboard the spacecraft? Just like the way she talks is very strange. But basically he's like, okay, like, hold on a minute. He goes into the bathroom. Vanessa's body is just like gone. So he's like, okay. So he like lets her in. Oh, he also sees Vanessa like walk by behind Leia, and he's like, do you see that girl? She's like, yeah, that's the delivery person. So like, I guess that was an illusion. I don't know what's going
Losing
on
it.
at this point.
Eating
Yeah.
too many weird mushrooms.
Too many, too many spores. Licking too many spores with his tongue. So she comes in, and of course Leia is like, oh, great TV, and like sits on the couch, and they're like watching TV, and he like says this thing where he's like, I've never had a girl on my couch before. And she's like, I've never had a girl on your couch either. And I was like, what the fuck? It's just like very strange. So they're sitting there kind of like talking or whatever, and she's just like, you're really weird. Like, I usually figure people out right away, but you're mystery. I've never kissed a mystery before. So they kiss, and then he immediately throws up a bunch of green shit all over her.
She's
And he's like freaking out.
relatively
but she
unfazed.
just seems really cool. Yeah, she's just like, haha, no problem. I'm just going to go to the bathroom and clean up. So she goes into the bathroom. He like cleans up the couch, I guess, and like changes. And then he brings her a shirt to change into. And it's like really weird. He like knocks on the door and she's like, "Who is it?" And he's like, "Ian." And she's like, "Ian who?" And he's like, "Ian, like this is my apartment." It's just like really weird. So he comes in, gives her the t-shirt. She like has taken off all her clothes and like puts on just his shirt or something. She also calls him Jack, and he's like, what? But then they kind of had like a heart-to-heart where he kind of talks about how like he was depressed and like had, you know, try to kill himself or whatever. And she's just like, "Oh, whatever." And she like asks if he knows about bees, and they start talking about how bees like fall in love or whatever. So they're like getting kind of like close. And he's like, "Yeah, they're gonna like, you know." And then the mold is just like, "Okay, that's enough." And she's like, "What the fuck is that?" So she leans down to look at the mold, and the mold just like sucks her into the cabinet that it's attached to, and then like blood splurts out of the sink, and he has killed her. She's dead.
Amazing.
And the mold says a bunch of sexist stuff about women, essentially. And Ian is like, you know, covered in her blood and is like upset. He's like, "I really liked her. I was into her. Like she could have been my girlfriend." And the mold's just like, "You don't need that. Like, what do you need that for?" And he's just like confused because he's like, "I thought the whole reason that you were helping me was like to be with her or whatever." And he's just like, "No." And so Ian decides that that's the last straw. He is like done with the mold. And the mold gets mad and makes like a little ball and like rolls it over to him. And he's just like, "I'm not going to eat that this time. Like, I'm not going to do what you say." And he's going to like attack the mold or whatever. But then the little spore like explodes on Ian and it's all chaos. And I think it turns Ian into a mold monster too.
Yeah.
But then, and it looks pretty gross because he's also stuck to the toilet, so that would suck. That'd be like the worst place to be a mold person. So then the next morning, Ian wakes up and he looks normal like he did in the very beginning. Like his apartment is like fucking wrecked. He is not clean shaven anymore. He like literally is dressed in the same stuff that he wore in the very beginning. And he goes and sits on the couch and like starts watching TV like he did before. There's a knock on the door and it's Box. He comes in asking for the rent like he did. And everything seems like to kind of be like repeating itself, but then Box gets poison darted. The TV breaks again. Ian checks the door peephole and sees Leia there, but this time he like goes outside to talk to her. And we get kind of like a slow pan of him essentially just like dead in the bathroom. And it's the end.
Very strange.
R.I.P. probably Ian.
Yeah.
I bet there's a sequel coming.
So I don't know. Probably.
Yeah, this movie rules.
So good.
So I feel like I need to kind of like ponder some of the finer points of it a little longer, but it's pretty interesting because it's like if he was dead, I don't know. It's just like wacky.
Wacky is
wacky tobacco.
Zany.
Doing that wacky tobacco. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. If for whatever reason,
don't do shrooms, I guess, is the moral of the story.
If you have mold in
Don't
your
do
bathroom,
bathroom
don't eat it.
shrooms.
Yeah.
inhale
Don't
it.
talk
Black
to it
hole is
either.
bad. Yeah. Don't do nothing to it except kill it.
Don't.
Yeah, leave it alone.
I think the real lesson here is don't name your TV.
Yeah, probably.
Poor Kent.
Yeah.
All right, Katie. Any news?
No, I tried so hard to find some, but there's just nothing.
Yeah, I don't know if I've seen.
Except for like stuff like I saw an article about the new like Dario Argento movie called Black Sunglasses, but I feel like we talked about that like when I still lived in California.
Yeah.
So
it got announced, but they finally started. They released like pictures or something from it.
Okay, yeah. So, I mean, it's just been that, and then like I don't know, all the other news that's happening right now, listicles and whatnot.
Can't imagine that. that movie's gonna be any good.
I couldn't tell you.
Dario Argento's been pretty not great movie wise since like the 90s.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anything after 2000.
I'll watch it, but I'm not excited for it.
I will not watch it.
I'm really bummed and not looking forward to it at all.
I mean, like, I don't know, something like a lot of the stuff he's done, it's like there's like interesting parts to it, but they're just not great. I don't know. It's just I don't expect it to be very good. I still want to see his Dracula movie because it's supposed to be pretty weird and bad.
Yeah.
We'll see. All right. What everybody watch this week?
What did you watch, Kit?
What did I watch? Great question. Hold on. Dracula AD. Dracula AD 1972 rules.
Oh.
I've seen that pop up every once in a while, but I always just assumed it was going to be bad.
It's like kind of boring through the first half, but it's also so absurd and has a really killer soundtrack. I think it's worth watching. Christopher Lee is in it a surprisingly short amount of time as Dracula.
Yeah.
But it does that thing where the guy who's secretly like relative of Dracula, his last name is Dracula backwards. There's an amazing scene of what's his name? Why just fucking blank on his name? The other big hammer guy.
Shit. Yeah, I know who you're talking about. I can't think of his name either.
Katie, come through for us. Yes. He has like Alucard written on a piece of paper, and he has lines like connecting it all to Dracula. He's like, my God. So good.
I love that shit in movies where it's like such an old trope and they just like have to figure it out. Great.
And other than that, it was French Dispatch, which is pretty good.
Yeah, I want to see that.
Recommended.
Okay.
What about you, Katie?
Well, as you know, this weekend was Halloween, so I mostly just rewatched my like Halloween movies, like Addams Family, Values, Little Monsters, that kind of thing. But I did find on Tubi came through for me. There was this movie I saw on TV, and I couldn't tell you what channel it was on. Probably Sci-Fi, and it was called Mortuary. And the only reason I remembered the movie was because the main character is the like best friend guy from like A Cinderella Story, which is that what's that girl's name? I just
no
blanked.
idea.
She was like Lizzie McGuire.
Hillary something. Hillary Duff.
Yeah, Hillary Duff. He was like the best friend in that movie, and he's like the main character of this movie. And I always like got confused because there's that other movie Mortuary, which like is pretty like popular.
Yeah.
That older movie, and I was like, maybe I was wrong. Maybe it wasn't called that. And then I was just like browsing on Tubi, and I saw it, and I like it's from 2005, and it turns out to be a Tobe Hooper movie, and I was like, that's wild. So I rewatched that, and while it's by no stretch of the imagination an actually good movie, I, for some reason, really love it. And I just was like, I could not believe I finally found it on something. So it's kind of dumb, but it's streaming on Tubi, obviously for free if anyone wants to watch that. And then I also finally watched Soul Survivors from 2001, because I've been on kind of like I rewatched Urban Legend, and so I've been kind of on like that kind of dumb movie kick. But I hadn't seen this one. It has Casey Affleck and Eliza Dushku in it. Not great. Not great at all.
Yeah, I think I
But
think I saw that when it came out, and I don't remember it being
it was like
good.
so weird and it was weird and stupid and also did not make sense in a bad way. And then I also watched this other movie from 2001 with Christina Ricci. That's the only reason I watched it, is because she's in it and I love her. And it was called The Gathering. Also very bad and stupid. But that's pretty much it.
Let's see. I watched a bunch of documentaries on video nasties after we recorded our last episode. Then I watched. Let's see. I'll do the asylum shit last. I watched A Night at the Roxbury,
Perfect
The
film.
Void, Creep Show, Metalocalypse, The Doomstar Requiem. I watched Hot Rod 4 times on Halloween. Because why not?
Perfect holiday film.
And then I watched a bunch more asylum shit. So I watched a movie called The Apocalypse. That was not good, surprisingly. I watched Invasion of the Pod People. Also not good.
Oh.
30,000 Leagues Under the Sea. It was extremely bad. 666 The Beast, which was a sequel to 666 The Child.
Oh.
So this was just 666 The Child was obviously a Omen ripoff. This was the Omen 2 ripoff. Where I think it's 2, where the Damien's running for office or whatever. Or is it 3?
I think 3 is where he's running for office.
So then this would have been a remake of a ripoff of 3. I watched a movie called Freak Show, which was a modern retelling of Todd Browning's Freaks, which is very bad. I watched I Am Omega, which was just Omega Man and I Am Legend, which was pretty bad, but I don't know how to pronounce this guy's name. Mark Dacascos? He's in like John Wick 3. He was a Double Dragon. He's in a bunch of like not super popular, but kind of like mid-tier like kung fu stuff. He was in Cradle to the Grave with DMX.
Ooh.
Oh, Jet Li.
No, yeah. I'm trying to think. Like, none of these movies seem like. I feel like Kit would know who he was if he saw him, but I can't. Like, none of these are movies that I've ever heard of, but like I feel like Kit's probably seen. Hold on, let me see. I'll see if I can find a picture of him I could send. But I don't know. He was good at it, like as like the sort of sole survivor of that story. I watched 2012 Doomsday.
Oh, I know who you're talking about. I know, yeah.
Yeah, he's in a bunch of shit, but like he's never like a main actor in things, really.
Yeah.
I think the Double Dragon movie is like the one thing specifically I could think of that he was one of like the main actors in, but I don't know, he was pretty good at it.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, he's like recognizable. I did not know his name though.
I watched a little movie called 100 Million BC.
Oh my god.
Holds
How
up.
was it?
Still great.
Yeah.
I watched Alan Quartermain and the Temple of Skulls, which was just Indiana Jones, but done very, very badly. And then the last thing I watched was a movie called Death Racers, starring Insane Clown Posse and the wrestler Raven. And so far,
did he DDT anyone?
No, but it is so far the best Asylum movie I have ever watched.
Because Raven,
Insane Clown Posse,
that's so Raven,
plays themselves in this weird post-apocalyptic death race thing where they're just like still wear their makeup and it's I don't know. It's one of the weirdest things I've watched, but it kind of rules for how stupid it is. Almost the entire soundtrack is Insane Clown Posse songs.
Wow.
It's real bad, but I recommend everybody go watch it.
Oh, I forgot. There was something else that I watched. I forgot to talk about.
Well, I am coming up on. Let's see, I have 3 more movies before I hit Sunday School Musical, which looks like it's a High School Musical ripoff.
Oh
no.
no, but religious Sunday school.
Yeah, there's some. I'm coming up on a War of the Worlds 2, so I get to see an Asylum sequel to War of the Worlds.
No.
Can't imagine that's good. A movie called The Terminators.
Solid.
Paranormal Entity. I'm sure that's gonna be unwatchable.
I think it'll be great.
There's a Sherlock Holmes movie that has a T-Rex on the cover that I'm very excited to see what the fuck's going on with Sherlock Holmes fighting a T-Rex. They made a Thor movie that looks real bad. I'm starting to hit the 2010s, so I'm starting to get into like the real terrible shit that they did, where they're starting to realize, like, I've hit that point where they realize that their gimmick is just ripping off other
Transmorphers.
things. Yeah, I've already watched one Transmorphers. Like, I'm coming up on at least one of the sequels soon. Not much great things to look forward to, except for a John Morrison Hercules movie.
Hell yeah.
What was the other thing that you forgot, Katie?
Oh, I forgot that I also watched Eli Roth's A Ghost Ruined My Life.
Oh boy.
I wish a ghost would ruin his life.
Honestly, it's very strange. I'm not really sure why it's like Eli Roth presents, because like he didn't direct or do anything. Like the episodes are like individual episodes and you can see like who directed it or whatever. And like it essentially is a pretty run-of-the-mill like paranormal experience where you have the person like sitting there telling you, but then there's a reenactment. And it's like essentially literally just another one of those shows, but like sort of a higher budget for some things. Like there's one episode where there's like this really weird like black demon creature that looks pretty cool, but then there's another episode where there's a bunch of spiders and they're like like very bad CGI spiders. And they also do this thing where they like tease what it's about in the beginning, but they show you kind of like the climax of the story up front. So weird choice there. It's just like a very run-of-the-mill like paranormal, like it's just like whatever. I'm not sure why it needed to be a thing. And then I also watched whatever the one was where it's like him and Zach Baggins making short movies, and maybe it was called The Haunted Museum or whatever, where they like take a haunted museum item and then like turn it into a short movie. And I fell asleep during the first one. Oh wait, no, I watched, maybe that was the Ghost. I don't know. They were both pretty similar, and but the intros are like the edgiest thing I've ever seen, so it's worth it for the intros.
No thank you on anything either of those two were doing.
It's not great. I'm like, who is giving them the money for this?
I don't know. People fucking love Eli Roth for some reason, even though he has never made a good movie.
I agree. He can't even make a good Lifetime ghost show.
The only good thing he's ever done is play the Bear Jew in Inglourious Bastards.
Oh
Should have been
God.
Sandler.
I agree. That would have been sick.
Wait, he's in Death Riders too. No one's seen that yet, though, right?
The Danzig movie.
The Danzig movie.
Yeah.
No, I got that on my watch list. So the minute it pops up, I don't care what our plans are. We're doing that movie.
Okay. Okay. I will never go back and watch Veronica, but I will watch that.
Shane went and saw it and had to drive back
Yeah,
like
'cause
the
you-
During that storm.
the night we had the
Yeah.
tornadoes and shit in New Jersey, and I was like, Shane, you're gonna die, and the last thing you did was drive to go see the fucking
Go to
Danzig
watch
movie.
that. The second Danzig movie.
He said it's
Well-
somehow worse than Veronica, so I can't wait.
What? Oh no!
I don't know how that's possible, to be honest.
Because at least Veronica, like, it's, short stories.
Had the spider guy,
Yeah, and had
the spine snapper or whatever.
had boobs with
The neck
eyeballs
breaker.
or whatever.
Right.
The eyeball titties were pretty good.
I saw how badly he handled 15-minute stories. I can't imagine what an hour and a half story is like. And he stars in it, like, there's no way that's good.
Oh, he just says
No,
his name.
sir.
I hope
Danzig.
he constantly keeps calling him, like, Eli, and he's like,
Yeah,
hey,
I mean,
Devin.
duh.
He's singing Elvis songs the whole time.
Oh, man, that album's so bad. Everyone should, like, the only person that should be allowed to make movies anymore is Danzig.
Oh no.
Danzig and Fred Durst.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Have you
They
watched
should
The
do a movie
Fanatic?
together.
Yes.
It's so bad.
Awful.
I'm not thrilled with everybody for some reason thinking Limp Bizkit is good now.
I don't understand it at all. What? Why?
Especially because
What are we doing
it's
here?
all the same people that, like, I don't know, any other band with wildly homophobic lyrics like Limp Bizkit has, they would not be giving a pass to, but, I guess everybody's going to do what they're going to do.
It's those dad vibes.
People are gonna people.
My shout out, not the new Limp Bizkit album.
At least they got the title right.
Yeah.
Still sucks.
Also just ripping off Primus, so get the fuck out of here. Because Primus is good.
Yes.
Katie, we will shout out so I don't steal yours this week.
I don't have one for you to steal.
My shout out is I don't know.
I'm just gonna shout out Alex. I think it's pronounced Mayer. It's Mauer, who is the person that produced the score for this movie. Because I love it, and they're also on Bandcamp with like a bunch of other albums. So I mean, I know I've shout out like chiptune type stuff before, but it's all like original, but some of it is like reminds me of like other scores that I love, like Stardew Valley and games like that. So if you want something chill and you like 8-bit, definitely check that out.
Have you ever listened to Bit Shifter?
I don't think so.
They do like, I don't want to, techno's not the right word, but it's like dance music, but it's all made with 8-bit and maybe 16-bit sounds.
Okay, I'll check that out.
I was like
I don't know.
way into them for a minute, and then I just they fell off on whatever they were doing, but they're pretty good.
Yeah.
Kit, what do you want to shout out?
Zoom Mastodon album, Hushed and Grim.
Is
It rocks, and it's very sad.
I saw like a bunch of people bitching about it, and I was also just like, have you not heard
They're wieners.
Mastodon in the last like 15 years? Like, you should know what you're getting into at this point.
Right? Like, why are you still listening? Like,
This doesn't sound like
fuck off.
Remission. I don't understand. My shout out is gonna be surprising. I'm gonna say Bloodthirst by Cannibal Corpse. I've been watching Metalocalypse a little bit, and I forgot that Corpse Grinder is in it, and that the Doomstar Requiem movie they did that's like a fucking like a rock opera where he has to like
Oh, yeah.
sort of sing but as Corpse Grinder as a character. I don't know, it's weird. And I was like, I kind of want to hear Cannibal Corpse, so I was listening to Bloodthirst, and it pounded into dust. Still a banger.
That's true.
Slap.
All right, Katie, what are we doing next week?
I don't know. Like, I was kind of thinking Sky Shark because we haven't done a shark movie in a while. But then I'm like, do we want something fallish? I don't
No,
know.
I don't. I don't give a fuck about doing stuff that's at all. We did Aztec Rex for Halloween. We don't have to like.
I know. That was also my pick, and I felt sad about it.
I
But
heard Sky Sharks is real bad, so I'm in.
okay.
Oh, it's got
I,
Tony Todd and Cary Hiroyuki Tagawa. I'm so in.
all right, we'll
What's
do it.
that
It's
on?
on Tubi.
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 The Tubes.
I like saw it on there, and I like sent you a Snapchat, and then I got because like I'm logged into the I Hope You Suffer like email, and I got the alert like something on your list is free. It's Sky Sharks, and I was like, haha, I already knew about that, Tubi.
Oh shit, Mick Garris is in this too.
Oh man.
Do it. All right.
Uh, Anytime we pick a movie that I look on Letterboxd, where all of like you could tell by the ratings where it's all like one side or the other. These are all at the bottom. I'm like, this is gonna be real bad. I'm in.
The IMDb description, like summary for it, is incredible. Deep in the ice of the Antarctic, a team of geologists uncover an old Nazi.
Checks out.
Okay.
All of
I love it.
all of
Okay,
the
I'm
reviews on
excited.
Letterboxd look like they're in German.
It's got a 1.8.
Oh hell yeah.
So I can't even tell like what any of these reviews are for the most part. It's gonna be pretty good. I'm in.
I didn't even like look who was in this at all, and the more I scroll, I'm like, hell yeah.
Robert Lasardo. Yes.
I still really want to see those weird fucking like I think they were Japanese, maybe they were Chinese. Those like that big ass spider. No, that wasn't big ass spiders. What was that fucking movie? Abyssal spider or
Yeah,
whatever.
like a abyssal spider or something.
And they did like a shark one too, I thought.
One of the girls from Dead Sushi is in this.
Oh yeah, man, Dead Sushi ruled.
Yeah, I don't remember what the
Also
shark movie was called.
Zombie
Yeah, I'm trying to like because it's definitely not from the same director. Because I thought for some reason I thought it was like the same people, but it's not. I don't know.
The posters looked similar.
Yeah, fuck. I'll figure that out. Because I remember like I was trying to find them to watch it at some point, but they just never hit like YouTube or anything. I need to see them. I remember they both looked very stupid. Oh wait, here we go.
The director also directed something called Sex, Dogs, and Rock and Roll.
There was a movie called Land Shark that was from like that same group. Was that it?
I see one called Huge Shark, which is amazing. It's a great title.
Man, the posters for like Land Shark and like Abyssal Spider and shit, like so good. And I know these movies are gonna be unwatchable trash. But I'm in.
We'll see.
All right, Sky Sharks next week.
Hey.
We're gonna have to pick some David Arquette movies soon too.
Is it official?
Oh yeah, it was a blowout. It was official almost immediately.
Devastating.
I got an idea that I think we should do 4 movies.
My dream.
And we should have to watch Ready to Rumble
Yes.
for this one as the 4th movie.
Okay.
I was just gonna choose it
in.
anyway.
Well, you could choose something else, and we'll do Ready to Rumble along with then pick 3 other movies. I'm picking Shark Boy and Lava Girl. Because
No.
he's apparently in that. No, I already know. I'm picking that skateboarding dog movie.
Oh my god.
Oh, you're lucky it's not on free anymore.
Good.
There's still time.
We'll see. Yeah. I'm gonna have to rake through the movies and see what to pick.
See if Muffin Top: A Love Story comes up for free or not.
Ooh.
All right. Sky Sharks next week. If you want to support us, you can join our Patreon at patreon.com/IHopeYouSufferPodcast. Merch at Store Frontier and Teespring, I think.
Yeah.
Leave us a rating and review on iTunes. Tell us your favorite mold mushroom to eat. Actually,
Yeah.
I don't want to know.
Which of the mold spores from Jeffrey Combs' mold is your favorite?
Tell us what other things you want Jeffrey Combs to voice. You can follow us on
And everything.
Follow us on Instagram at I Hope You Suffer Podcast. Follow Kit at Hidden Kitstery. Follow Katie at Werewolf Face. You listen to my other podcast, Ain't Kate Movie Club. Yeah, go watch Motivational Growth. It rules. It's very strange.
Yeah, if you got all this way without actually watching it when we told you to, you suck. But you could go watch it now.
You can rectify that.
Just
Yeah.
if you can, watch it on Prime because it'll make it much shorter. You don't have to sit through, I don't know, 30 minutes of commercials on
12
Tubi.
commercial break.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. I hope you grow, but motivationally.
I hope you lick it
I hope
with
you
your tongue.
lick a mold boob.
No! That was baffling. I was very baffled.
Yeah, if you made it this far and you haven't watched it and you got to the part about somebody essentially going down on some mold, you're missing out. I'm gonna put just the sound effects from that scene alone in the episode, just to bum everybody out. Except for the ASMR crowd.